stretches or dynamic stretches. And a static stretch is a hold, where you get the horse into the position that you're looking for and then you hold them. We don't need to hold for any longer than 30 seconds. There's been studies to show that in humans that we don't need to hold for longer than 30 seconds. They still need to be shown in horses because obviously they do have a different kind of fascial system. But a static stretch is where you take the horse into the stretch and you hold for 30 seconds. And then you will repeat the stretch 2 to 3 times in that session. The important thing to realise with static stretching though is the horse must be warm. And so if they're not warm and you're doing a static stretch, they can easily overstretch and injure themselves and create small little tears in the muscles, in the fascia, and then you're creating a problem rather than helping your horse. So the best place to start is actually with a dynamic stretch, and that's where they're moving. You don't want them moving like too quickly that it becomes what we call like ballistic type of stretch, where it's you're putting them through too big a range of motion too quickly. You will also cause damage that way. So a dynamic stretch works with the horse's range of motion. So you'll see a few different videos looking at dynamic. Now, you'll see with Patch that she holds her dynamic stretches because that's where we've progressed to in her training. Whereas at the start, when we did dynamic stretches, she would literally go into the position and come straight out of the position. And you have to figure out what's comfortable for your horse. When you are doing a dynamic stretch, you will only go to where they're comfortable and then you come up. If your horse loses interest in your stretching, they're telling you it's too difficult. So you need to then decide where you can back off to, because once you've lost their attention, it can be very hard to get their confidence back. The other thing is when you first start stretching with your horse, you want to reward often, but be very specific with your reward. So you need to be, if you figure out my horse for a chin between the knees can only come to here right now, then, it took you a few goes to figure that out, then you'll have to make sure that the next time you reward here, because otherwise your horse is going to give up if you keep asking them to come all the way between their legs. So you've got to work with your horse's comfort zone, work with their range of motion, and the important thing is it's quality over quantity. So you need to understand in terms of their anatomy and their biomechanics, like what is a good quality stretch and what's a bad quality stretch, because there's no point getting your horse to touch its tail but it's all like twisted and it's bracing all through its body, and they can do it and you can say, oh look, my horse can touch its tail, but meanwhile it's a very uncomfortable position for the horse. So even if your horse can only come, you're doing a neck stretch and they can only come to here, that's fine. That's where you're working with to start with, and over time you will get them further